What good folks, it's Dark319 and welcome back to another What If, and I believe this is What If Naruto was a Sith Lord Part 5 and possibly finale, so do your boy a favor, like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 10, Naruto Unleashed. Naruto waited at a deserted training ground for Galen Marek and his ship to arrive, since he sensed the man had entered the system moments ago. Zabuza, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Haku, Hinata, Shizune, Mei, Anko, and the rest of his wives plus the various clan heads were all with him waiting as well. They were all curious about meeting another human from beyond the stars and was going to aid in fighting the Akatsuki with the same powers Naruto himself possessed. This guy better be impressive, mumbled Zabuza before getting elbowed by Mei and Haku, since they didn't like him insult their husband's friend because it indirectly insulted their husband. So little faith, Zabuza. I would think you would have some after all you've seen me do with my power, commented Naruto with Zabuza mumbling something. Soon enough though, the ship they were waiting for had arrived, and the rogue shadow piloted by Juno Eclipse had landed in all its glory. The group behind Naruto had gasped at seeing such a technological wonder landing right in front of them, since the design of it made the ship look like a giant metallic bird. When the ship's ramp opened, a lone figure, possibly male from what could be seen behind the slightly dark robe, stepped out of the large vessel, and had a hood covering his face. Walking without pause once down the ramp, the figure made his way to Naruto, and stopped only a few feet away from the blonde Uzumaki. And just stood there as if waiting for something, while the wind picked up slightly around them with an invisible tension manifesting. Does anyone else feel twitchy? Asked Jiraiya with Tsunade nodding, since she was now expecting the two to draw weapons. I can practically feel the desire to whip out a kunai and get ready to attack, remarked Anko with the others looking at her slightly. Aren't you always like that? Questioned Mei with Anko sticking her tongue out at him. Their conversation ended when the sound of a snap hiss came from both Naruto and the robed figure with their lightsabers activated. They began moving at incredible speeds, clashing against the other, and just when the others were going to get involved, the two combatants turned off their weapons and proceeded to laugh and had a brief hug between them. It's been a while, Galen. How are you? Asked Naruto with Galen removing his hood and smiled at his friend. Good. How are things with you? You've gotten yourself into quite a situation on your world, replied Galen with Naruto smirking. I am. There is a lot about this world you don't know, Galen. How is Anakin? I thought I sensed him earlier on your ship, asked Naruto before he saw another robed figure now descend from the ship and revealed himself to be Anakin Skywalker. Hello, Naruto. It's been quite some time since we last saw each other, stated Anakin with Naruto nodding in agreement. Yes. The last time we met, you were an injured Sith Lord contemplating his future, and I was the Emperor's former hand responsible for his sudden demise. You look good, by the way, since the last time we met, replied Naruto with Anakin smirking at him. Yes, well, the last time you saw me, most of my body was burned. I was in that wretched life support suit, and was badly injured further from fighting this one, countered Anakin, as he pointed at Galen, and Naruto nodded in agreement before pulling out a small cube-shaped device. Here is the Jedi holocron I promised. It contained the knowledge and wisdom of Jedi Master Revan. Make sure his teachings are shared with the other Jedi Masters on the Council, said Naruto with Anakin nodding and taking the cube from his hands. This will go a long way in helping the Jedi Order grow. Thank you, Naruto, said Anakin with the Uzumaki smiling. Juno is going to take Anakin back to Coruscant. I'm sticking around to help you with this problem you have with this group, said Galen with Naruto smirking. The two of us working together against them? That's almost cruel, remarked Naruto while Galen smiled. Almost, commented Galen while Anakin shook his head. I'll check in on Galen and you a month after I return to Coruscant with the holocron, said Anakin while the two nodded. May the Force be with you, Master Skywalker, said Naruto before bowing slightly, and Anakin returned it. And you, Master Uzumaki, replied Anakin with a smirk before leaving for the ship. Master Uzumaki. I like the sound of that, said Naruto with Galen shaking his head. Try not to get a swollen head over it, remarked Galen with Naruto smirking. Who? Me? Never. Replied Naruto and let out a laugh with Galen following. Care to introduce me? Said Galen after walking with Naruto to the others. Of course. Galen Marek, these are some of my very best friends, and loved ones in the entire village. Everyone, this is Galen Marek. Also known as Starkiller. He was once Darth Vader's secret apprentice before breaking away after an incident. I was assigned by the late Emperor to work in the shadows to contain the aftermath of their eventual battle that I no doubt believe was orchestrated by the late Sith Lord on the throne. To protect him in the event Galen here bested Vader for the moment and moved on to him. Something that did happen and I intervened during the fighting before I made the final decision to turn on the late emperor, explained Naruto with everyone listening to why he betrayed Sidious. Wow. This Sith Emperor sounds like a real jerk, commented Anko with Naruto letting out a chuckle. He was more than jerk, Anko. He orchestrated the fall of the Republic, the Jedi, started an intergalactic civil war, and used that same war to gather materials to make a super laser for his Death Star that could destroy entire planets. He makes Uchiha Madara and Orochimaru look like innocent children, replied Naruto with everyone shivering since anyone that made those two infamous shinobi look tame by comparison was to be feared for all time. Okay. Now that the introduction is out of the way, how do we take out the Akatsuki that is threatening everything? Asked Zabuza with Naruto smirking. Jiraiya has a spy in the Akatsuki, right? So we'll use him to pass information on to them that the remaining Jinchuriki are gathering in one spot to meet to form an alliance against them. We will make it so tempting that they would be foolish to not come get us in this one moment before we spring our trap to finish them all off in one swift stroke. It's the only way we can stop them now before they decide come after all Jinchuriki one at a time like they originally planned from what Jiraiya's first spy told him, answered Naruto with Jiraiya scratching his chin in thought. It would take some collaborating effort from Iwa, Suna, and Kumo because of how the Akatsuki has spies of their own in these three villages. Only through the cooperation of the Kijizin actually making it seem like they will do it can we to make this trap seem genuine, added Jiraiya with Naruto nodding. Can you make it work? Asked Galen with Jiraiya thinking for a moment. Kumo and Suna aren't the problem. That Tsuchikage and Iwa might need some convincing, though I'm sure it can be done if handled discreetly, answered Jiraiya, and the only way to make that happen was if he went to see the old cage. Then I suggest you get to it, Uro-Sennin, said Naruto with Jiraiya having a tick mark on his head and got laughed at by the others with the exception of Starkiller. How many times must I tell you not to call me that? Yelled an angry Jiraiya while Naruto stayed completely calm. Uro-Sennin? Asked Galen with Naruto smirking at him. Let me put it to you this way. If Juno meets him, you will want to go Sith Lord on his ass for looking at her body, and more if he tries to peep on her if she ever used our hot springs, answered Naruto with Galen scowling at a now nervous Jiraiya. I wouldn't do that. Protested Jiraiya, though everyone just looked at him while crickets chirped in the silence that followed. Sure you wouldn't. And I'm not married to a bunch of hot women who I love with all my heart, replied Naruto while the women around that he loved blushed heavily. Sure, rub it in, why don't you? Mumbled Jiraiya before he was hit in the back of the head by Tsunade. Sorry about that, apologized Tsunade while Galen looked at the downed Jiraiya and then at Tsunade before looking at Naruto. You hang around with some strange people, replied Galen with Naruto laughing since he had been to various parts of the galaxy and met some strange people in the process. You have no idea, said Naruto with a grin on his face before he decided to show Galen around the village. They could relax for a bit before they set their plan into action. Ame village sometime later, is this right, Itachi? All of the currently existing Jinchuriki are gathering in 1 week? Demanded Pain with Itachi nodding his head. Yes. Our spies in the other villages have confirmed that each Jinchuriki from the other villages have mobilized to meet in what was once Whirlpool country. According to the old history books, it is the ancestral home of the Uzumaki clan, replied Itachi while the other members thought about this information. We must act on this. If the Jinchuriki successfully band together, then our plans will be ruined, and it will take too long to counter before putting the next phase of our plan into motion, commanded Pain with the others nodding. It could be a trap, stated Konan calmly, though it was clear her words were ignored. Trap or not? We have to investigate, replied Pain with his tone telling her his decision was final. Everything is going according to plan just as Jiraiya-sama said it would after I told Pain about this false information, thought Itachi, as he had no intention of surviving the upcoming battle, and planned to be a secret weapon against the Akatsuki when the time came for the trap to be sprung. We were able to make a small army of Zetsu clones thanks to the six-tailed Jinchuriki being caught not that long ago. We were fortunate that we caught him at all, so we can't waste this opportunity to use them to get the other Jinchuriki while using the clones in combination of us all fighting the Jinchuriki when the time comes, stated Pain knowing that the Zetsu clones would go a long way to capturing the others. Soon I will have the means to creating the Juubi. Even if it is some kind of trap, all the remaining Jinchuriki will be unable to stand against us, and our powers to nullify each bijou within them, thought Obito behind his orange swirl mask. Whirlpool country 1 week later, they are here. Get ready, replied Naruto in a whispered tone to Galen and the others wearing robes covering their forms while seeing the members of the Akatsuki along with the clone army of Zetsus appearing before them. So our intel was correct. The Jinchuriki have gathered for battle, said Pain, as he saw how the Jinchuriki standing before him wearing robes to hide their identities. Not quite team, replied Naruto before he removed his outer robes, as did Galen, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Mei, Zabuza, Kimimaro Anko, Gaara, who was the Kazekage of Suna, Tamari, Kankuro, the Raikage, Tsuchikage, and the hidden army of allied shinobi hidden using the power of the force. We've been tricked, exclaimed Kisame with Naruto smirking at him. What was your first clue? Asked Naruto rhetorically while activated his lightsabers and Galen did the same. It doesn't matter. We have more than enough power to crush them, replied Pain, as he brought out his paths, and the others brought out their own abilities. It's time Uchiha Itachi, said Naruto to Itachi through a mental link with the force and saw the Uchiha nod slightly while silently drawing his sword. And stabbed Kisame with it while staring at the shocked swordsman with his Sharingan eyes. Itachi? You fucking traitor, exclaimed Hidan furiously before Itachi was in his line of sight and the Jashin priest knew only blackness. I was never a traitor because I was never loyal to the cause to begin with, stated Itachi before he found a hand through his back exit out his stomach. A hand that belonged to one of Pain's paths. Foolish Itachi. Now you die, replied Pain coldly while Itachi smirked while blood leaked from his face. He could have used a substitution, but deep down the Uchiha was tired, and his body was dying on him. You are the fool. I am already dead. My body has been ill for some time. I wasn't going to last much longer. I don't care about my life and I'm ashamed of my clan for their past sins in this world. I'm glad to die knowing that I spent the last few moments of my life saving the world from a tyrant that would enslave the world for his own ends, replied Itachi, as he looked at Pain for a moment, and then at Tobi before a dark fire flickered in his Sharingan eyes before it shot out to hit the shocked masked Uchiha. Only for the masked Uchiha to appear to be unharmed due to his manipulation of space and time with his Sharingan eye. You failed Itachi, said Tobi calmly while Itachi still smiled. Did I? Questioned Itachi before his life left him with a smile still on his face. What? Thought Tobi before something caught his eye on the ground and his eye widened in shock when he saw an explosive tag on the ground that was about to explode. The explosion from the explosive tag itself didn't cause any harm despite its proximity to Tobi, but that wasn't Itachi's intention, as the man knew the masked Uchiha would use his power to get away and attempt to cause bodily harm happened. So rather than use it in a vain attempt to hurt Tobi like everyone thought, Itachi used it to cause damage to the mask, and making the item fall apart. It can't be, exclaimed Jiraiya, as he saw the face of the man behind the mask, and easily recognized it despite the many years since seeing him. It was Uchiha Obito. Jiraiya student. Hello Jiraiya, replied Obito with a scowl on his face. You know this guy? Asked Galen while watching this guy carefully. His name is Uchiha Obito. He was a student of the Naruto's father in his younger years during the Third Shinobi War. We presumed he was dead after a boulder crushed half his body. Kakashi and Rin reported him dead, answered Jiraiya with Obito smirking. I did die. Or was pretty damn close to it. You would not believe what I went through to become what I am now. How much I suffered. How much I lost, exclaimed Obito with Naruto scowling. How much you suffered. How much you lost. Care to explain that to us? Questioned Naruto with Obito frowning at him. I lost half my body. I lost my former teammate Rin because of Kakashi. Explained Obito with Naruto waiting for more. And that justifies your actions in doing everything that had led to this moment? What you did to my parents in causing the fox sealed inside of her to attack. The sealing he was forced to do on me to keep him contained and make my life miserable? All because of that? Questioned Naruto with Obito scowling at him. You wouldn't understand, brat. I lost over half my body, nearly dying if not for Madara's intervention, and was unable to love Rin like I wanted. I came to rescue her because she was in trouble after my body fully recovered and saw Kakashi kill her when I showed up on the battlefield to do what he promised he would in my place. Rin is all that matters to me. Hence why I intended to bring all the Bijou together to form the Juubi and create a worldwide Tsukiyomi using the moon itself to make a reality where Rin is alive, stated Obito with Naruto's eyes widening and everyone looking at the Uchiha like he was nuts. That was not what we agreed upon to achieve peace, said Pain with narrowed eyes. It's still peace. In my reality, there will be no wars, fights, pain, and suffering that we both detest so much. In my reality, your body will be perfectly healed, and can move around like it was healthy. It will be a wonderful world where Rin can live again, smile again, and we can be together again, replied Obito before Naruto started laughing at him. That's it? That's the reason? You are doing all of this, you've done these terrible things just because your former teammate you had a crush on was killed and, and you want to bring her back using an eternal Tsukuyomi? You are so pathetic, exclaimed Naruto while laughing at the Uchiha that was once his father's student. Pathetic? How is it pathetic? Questioned Obito with Naruto now glaring at him. Think about it for 2 seconds, you dumb shit. You would be bringing back a fake Rin. A Rin that you only know from your memories. You have no idea what she would look like now or how she would act. You would create an empty shell of a woman forged from the past. This Rin would have no emotions except what you give her. She would laugh at things only because you want her to laugh at them. You would make a Rin that is not the true Rin and can only create an empty puppet to fill your heart that will not be satisfied for long. Eventually, you would have gotten tired of this fake Rin because she would be predictable in everything she did, as she was created in your fake illusionary world, and you would ultimately one day kill her yourself. In fact, I can easily imagine you would only lose your mind over this, killing a new manifested Rin again, and again until it's not enough. I imagine you would start killing people off one by one, until finally after so many have died through your twisted eternal Tsukuyomi by your hands, you are the only one left alive on this planet, explained Naruto with Obito looking infuriated at him. You didn't imagine that, did you? You saw it through a vision of the Force, whispered Galen with Naruto nodding. Down to every last horrible detail, Naruto whispered back. Unless we stop him here, replied Galen with Naruto nodding. Are you ready? Asked Naruto with Galen nodding and could feel the Force ready to be unleashed through him. I believe in true peace like our organization has long strived for, but I will not let serve a mad man that will enslave everyone in such a manner, and bring about the end to all that is human life. Die, said Konan, as she sent sharp kunai-shaped projectiles at Obito, who sneered at her, and used his Sharingan to phase out for a moment so it would fly through him. You first, exclaimed Obito, as he moved with incredible speed to get in front of Konan, and grabbed her by the throat. Only for a vertically spinning blue lightsaber accurately thrown by one Galen Marek to slice through Obito's hand at the wrist. That's no way to treat lady, remarked Galen, as he recalled his lightsaber back to his hand, and saw Obito looking at him with a murderous expression on his face. Don't just stand there, you idiots. Kill them all. As Uchiha Madara's true heir, I commanded, said Obito with the Zetsu along with his clones charging forward along with Kakuzu, Sasori, Deidara, Zetsu, and Pain doing the same. Time for the fun to begin. Remarked Naruto with a smile on his face, as he along with Galen charged forward, and the others beside them doing the same to engage this army that was threatening their way of life. The two Force users launched their attacks at the Zetsu clones, slicing through one after another with their lightsabers, using their Force powers to annihilate the enemy around them, and enjoying every second of it. When they weren't fighting Zetsu clones, the two were destroying puppets sent their way by Sasori, and using the Force to create perfect synchronized teamwork to combat their foes. Sasori frowned at the sight of his army of over 100 puppets being destroyed by the two Force users and allied shinobi rallying around them in the fighting. He seethed at the sight of these shinobi destroying his works of art and the Zetsu clones they had made to overpower the Jinchuriki. Only now, the Akatsuki was being overpowered, falling apart from within, and were fighting for their lives because they had been trapped due to a spy in their midst. The fact that Konan had turned on them too was even worse, as she had refused to fight for Uchiha Obito, and his plan to place a genjutsu on the entire world that would make him a god that would end war forever on his terms. His musing were cut short when Kimimaro appeared seemingly out of nowhere from the thick of his puppets, now all destroyed by the Kaguya in a brilliant display of violence worthy of his clan name, and sliced the Suna puppet master's head clean off his shoulders with a katana made from the Kaguya's body. Fortunately for Sasori, it was not his true body, as he made himself into a living puppet, but also kept himself hidden within that of another puppet to provide himself with a means of protection, and to catch his prey off guard for a sneak attack. However, as he leapt over the slightly surprised Kaguya to strike the undefended back of his enemy, Sasori found himself stabbed in the back through the front multiple times by sharp paper object that came from Konan, and one of the projectiles had hit the puppet master through his heart that kept him alive. You, bitch, whispered Sasori, as he felt life fade from him, and cursed Konan one last time before death took hold of Suna's greatest of puppet masters. Thank you for your aid, said Kimimaro while fighting off the Zetsu clones that now swarmed over him. Save your thanks for later when this is all over, commanded Konan, as she continued to battle the Zetsu clones, and started fighting her way to Zetsu himself. Persistent little bastards, remarked A, as he tore through clone after clone after clone, and they still kept coming. How did they make all of these? Questioned Yugito, as she set a whole line of them on fire with Nibi's chakra, and still more came. We used the chakra from the six-tailed Jinchuriki that was caught a short time ago. He put up quite a fight, answered Kakuzu arrogantly, as he appeared in front of her, and saw the woman hiss like an angry cat at him. Bastard, exclaimed Yugito with Kakuzu shrugging off the insult. You should be thanking us for putting him out of his misery. Your fellow Jinchuriki was not in his right mind. He thought everyone around him was the enemy. Kept whispering to himself how people betrayed him and was going to destroy the next village he walked into, replied Kakuzu while Yugito not letting her glare leave. Probably due to the mental trauma suffered when he was in Mist, remarked A since he knew some Jinchuriki if not all of them had suffered in the past and not all of them came out mentally stable. It didn't give you the right to kill him and use the bijou for your twisted plans. He could have been saved or his mind healed, countered Yugito with Kakuzu smirking at her. As if I care about that. All I care about is money, replied Kakuzu before felt a shadow fall behind him and turned to see Killer B with his swords out looking pissed. You killed my bro and care only about dough. Number 8 is going to unleash his own hate, rapped B before he unleashed his swordsmanship skills on the shocked Akatsuki member with the oldest member of the Akatsuki now sliced to pieces. Normally I'd scold you for rapping, but considering the situation, I'm letting you off the hook this one time B, said A while B grinned at him, and the Raikage knew he was never going to hear the end of it. While this was going on, Pain had decided to go after his old sensei Jiraiya, and the man's teammate Tsunade with the toad Sanin telling the slug Sanin not to hold back. Pain merely watched them in amusement, as Jiraiya went into Sage mode, and Tsunade was trying to use her super strength against the Rinnegan user. This is pointless. I killed the man you could not defeat in Ame. Hanzo was stronger than all 3 Sanin and you were in your prime when that fight occurred. The chances of the 2 of you defeating me are less than it was when fighting Hanzo all those years ago, replied Pain confidently while his 6 paths easily handled the 2 Sanin. Then let's even the odds, exclaimed Fu, as she along with Anko, Mei, Gaara, Han, and Roshi were now attacking Pain's paths. Fools. I'll show you what it means to challenge a god, stated Pain, as he focused the power of his eyes on them, but found himself suddenly unable to use it, and frowned before turning to see Naruto's hand outstretched towards him. The Rinnegan may be impressive, but it is no match against the power of the Force, exclaimed Naruto, as he focused on Pain while Galen fought off the Zetsu clones now trying to get to the Uzumaki, and break his concentration. We will see about that, replied Pain, as he focused his attention on Naruto now, but the young Force user was still somehow suppressing his power, and it infuriated him to no end. Even if you defeat his paths, the real Pain is to the north of here, said Konan, as she used her origami paper to kill the real Zetsu, and saw Pain glaring at her. You dare betray me? After everything we've done? Demanded Pain with Konan giving him a sad look. You betrayed yourself, Nagato. You could have opposed the Uchiha's plan when you heard it for the first time, but instead you went against everything we believed in, and chose to fight for an empty world that will be filled with drones for people. That is not true peace, answered Konan with Pain frowning. Peace is peace, Konan. How it is achieved doesn't matter so long as the end result of it actually happens. Whether by subjugation, enslavement, or genocide I don't care so long as true peace occurs and wars end, replied Pain with Konan looking at him with pity. Galen. Cut your way through the Zetsu clones to the north. Find and kill the guy there that's commanding these paths. The Force will show you the way, commanded Naruto while fighting off some of the clones and still keeping his focus on Pain. Are you sure? Asked Galen with Naruto nodding. Yeah, but you better hurry, exclaimed Naruto, as he felt Pain was using his Rinnegan to fight the Force, and his ability to suppress the Dojutsu. Shinra Tensei, said Pain, as he was finally able to use the Rinnegan to force back Naruto, and the blonde Uzumaki grinned at him. Impressive. Most impressive. But much to learn you still have. Commented Naruto, as he sent Pain flying with his force push, and sent the man's body through several trees. Not bad boy. You may not have the Rinnegan, but your strange power seems to rival mine. Because of this, I must kill you now, replied Pain, as he got off the ground, and stared at him. You are an Uzumaki. Like my mother. Why would you do this knowing that it would kill your own kin? Demanded Naruto with Pain just staring at him. Because I do not care about blood ties. I do not care about what others think of me. I have a vision where there is no war and I am going to achieve it one way or another, replied Pain with Naruto scowling at him. Even if it means following Uchiha Obito? What makes you think your Rinnegan will grant you immunity from his massive genjutsu? Questioned Naruto, as he created a Rasengan in his hand, and made it hover using the force. The Rinnegan is the absolute dojutsu. I will live outside of the genjutsu he creates and live in his world knowing we have peace. What becomes of everyone else in this world is not my concern, answered Pain, with Naruto getting angry when hearing that. So you'll just screw over everyone the world over just for your own desires to be met regardless of how it happens. How very Uchiha of you, remarked Naruto with Pain frowning. Enough. I will not tolerate you anymore, stated Pain, but his eyes widened for a second, and then his body along with the other paths went limp. What just happened? Asked Tsunade when she saw the rods in each of the paths fall out and the Rinnegan leaving their eyes. Starkiller, replied Naruto, to see that everyone except Uchiha Obito was among the dead, or in Hidan's case, in a coma. In fact, Obito was no longer on the battlefield. The man had fled after losing his hand and no doubt returned to Ame. The one Uchiha that deserves to die isn't among the dead, spat A, since he had to respect Itachi for fighting beside them when it came to choosing sides. Fortunately, I know where he's headed, said Naruto before Galen came out of the forest with a pair of Rinnegan eyes and a preserving jar. With his dying breath, he wanted us to have them. Apparently, he felt they would be put to better use in the hands of someone who could use them responsibly, stated Galen, as he handed them to Naruto, who looked at them, and considered the implantation process. It could give me the edge when I face Obito and Ame, added Naruto while looking at the eyes and how they could repel the Sharingan. We should hurry. You need to go and get those eyes surgically implanted before we go to this village, commented Galen with Naruto smirking at him. We? Who said anything about all of us going to Ame? This fight with Obito is mine and mine alone, replied Naruto with Galen frowning along with everyone else. Are you sure? Asked Galen with Naruto nodding. It has to be me that puts him down. Trust me, answered Naruto with Galen sighing. I trust you, Naruto, but I don't trust your ability to show restraint in this case. I still sense a lot of aggression in you, stated Galen with Naruto nodding before taking the eyes out of the jar with the force. Naruto, you should really do this with a medical expert, said Tsunade worriedly. There is no time for time-draining surgery, and besides, I know what I'm doing, replied Naruto, as he used the force to manipulate the eyes to merging with his own, and it took all of his concentration in using the force to make the merger happen. The fox covered the rest in terms of healing any problems he may have with them. You alright? Asked Galen, as he saw Naruto shake his head to shake off the massive headache he was getting. Yeah. Just give me a few minutes. Kurama is working on the internal stuff, answered Naruto with Galen smirking. You're just like Master Skywalker was during his younger years as a Jedi. Reckless and impatient, remarked Galen with Naruto smirking despite the headache. Thanks, said Naruto, since he felt Anakin Skywalker was a good role model to follow regardless of his fall to the dark side, and the man did redeem himself in the end when it came to his family. Sure enough, Naruto felt the headache leave, and his vision cleared up while possessing to turn the Rinnegan on and off whenever he wanted. Giving a thumbs up to everyone, Naruto suddenly moved at incredible speed, clearly heading towards Ame with his eyes to engage Uchiha Obito in battle, and settle things between them. That baka is going to be the death of me with his actions, remarked Tsunade with a sigh, knowing the boy's recklessness while rare these days was creating stress marks from her worrying about him. What do we do about them? Asked Galen, as he saw Konan and Hidan being the only members left of the Akatsuki. She should be locked up, remarked that Tsuchikage with a grunt before he screamed in pain and about his back giving out. No. She's suffered enough, remarked Galen with a frowning at him. And how has she suffered? Questioned A while Galen looked him dead in the eyes. I can sense her pain through the force. I have seen her past. The man that she knew that was pain before his fall betrayed her. The man that inspired the two of them to rise up above themselves is dead, his body used by pain, and now the very purpose for existing in this world has been destroyed because of the lie made by Uchiha Obito being exposed. All those important and precious to her are now dead with nothing left to fight for since the organization she joined has been crushed, explained Galen with A's eyes softening a bit. He's right. Everything she once believed in about the Akatsuki is no more, and it's not like she can just go back to Ame after everything that's happened. She only tolerated it because of Yahiko and Nagato before everything spiraled out of control. Too many bad memories, replied Jiraiya before walking over to the clearly depressed Konan. What about the Jashin priest? It's said he can't be killed no matter what we do, inquired the Raikage while seeing the man in a coma. Uchiha Itachi clearly put him in some kind of genjutsu with his Sharingan that he can't get out of for a long time, if ever, though one can never tell with that boy's mastery over the dojutsu. Still, I say we behead him, and then throw the head into the water while burning the body. There is a reason all the Jashin followers were killed off in the first place. They were into some weird voodoo, said Tsuchikage with everyone nodding in agreement. Allow me to set the crazy priest's head free, Rapt beat while A just groaned at him and watched the 8-tailed Jinchuriki slice the head off with Yugito burning the body. Remind me to hurt him when we get back to Kumo, said A to Kairo with the woman nodding. Akatsuki HQ underneath Ame days later. Obito was seething in rage, as his lost hand was replaced, and fully usable with one of the pieces of an incomplete Zetsu clone being used like it had been after half of his body was crushed by that damn rock. The shinobi above in Ame had been told of Pain's death, making him a martyr, and pinned the blame on Naruto. Though whether that was true or not didn't matter to Obito so long as everyone in Ame fought Naruto the bitter end. Naruto will fall before me and his allies will soon join him, thought Obito, as he cursed his lot sensei, and his wife for having such a strong son. Life had become so unfair. He tried to be generous. He tried to be helpful, kind, caring, and always encouraging others. Obito tried to put up with the laughter of others, all the ridicule by Rin, and being outdone by Kakashi. He followed a path of principles and in the end all it got him was heartache when Rin died regardless of how it happened. It was when she died that the principles Uchiha Obito had in life were destroyed. What was the point of living in a world without Rin? Rin was all that mattered. Everyone else was insignificant. Kakashi, Minato, Kushina, the Uchiha clan, Hyuga clan, and every other person in the world was nothing compared to Rin. So what if they were enslaved by his genjutsu? So what if they were denied free will? Rin was all that mattered. She was his world and if he couldn't live happily in a world with Rin in it, then no one else could either. It was why he stewed a cripple mist by being its mysterious third Mizukage while manipulating his successor from the shadows. He made the bloodline purges in the country happen, eventually caused the distrust that followed, and weakened Mist almost the point of little to no recovery. Then he moved to Kumo, using his Sharingan on the head ninja before leaving for Konoha to make him steal the Hyuga heiress, and cause problems for Konoha. The dividing of the clan, making the entire family become divided, tensions rising to the point where the branch family risked fighting the main family, and destroying themselves. Sadly, the Hyuga clan was made of sterner stuff, and failed to destroy themselves. Then he went after the Uchiha clan, the tension rising in the aftermath of the failed attack using Kyuubi, the connection the clan had to the fox getting out, thanks to Obito, and the whispering of words in secret to Uchiha Fugaku resulting in the plan to overthrow the Sandaime. A plan that Obito knew would fail from the start and it would result in the weakening of Konoha to the point where they couldn't boast they had the muscle needed to repel their enemies with ease. Orochimaru had gone rogue, the Sandaime was getting on in his years, Jiraiya and Tsunade were wandering throughout the elemental countries embracing their vices. Konoha was becoming corrupt from within, the hunger and lust for power had taken root with it flourishing almost violently since the Yondaime's death. And Konoha did fall, but not in the way Obito imagined it would. Instead of Konoha's shinobi that could pose a threat to him being killed or enslaved by Iwa or Kumo, they were taken to Mist to strengthen it once more. All because of Minato sensei's damn son, who now had freaky powers, and help from some freaky guy with similar freaky powers. Then the brat gathers allies to ruin a plan that was orchestrated by the real Uchiha Madara himself and had taken literally over 2 whole decades to set into full motion to the point where it would take the armies of all the shinobi villages along with their Kages of both past and present to have a remote chance against him. Only for the damn Uzumaki brat to engage his organization and usurp the plan before the grand scheme could properly be revealed in a dramatic climax that would have resulted in the eternal Tsukiyomi manifesting. Obito wanted to see their last moments of free will being filled with despair, knowing they failed to stop him, and that they would live in a world of his own creation where they all obeyed him. Not the Yondaime Hokage. Not the Sandaime Hokage. Not a Misakage. Not a Tsuchikage. Or any other Kage for that matter. The world would bow to Uchiha Obito, the true god of shinobi with his goddess Rin ruling by his side for all time. Even now, your thoughts are that of the selfish, and the stupid, remarked Naruto, as he appeared from the shadows, and glared at Obito with his Rinnegan eyes. How did you get in here? Not even Minato sensei himself could have infiltrated Ame without going through an entire village filled with shinobi on full alert, demanded Obito with Naruto smirking at him. My father never had the force or the Rinnegan at his command. Kurama helped out too and supplied the chakra I needed to stay active all this time, answered Naruto calmly while Obito seethed. So the fox has an actual name. I don't know who is foolish enough to give the beast a name or if the others have names as well, but none of the bijou deserve to have one. Their purpose is to obey when given a command. To heal when commanded. They are made to serve their rightful masters and in this case it's just me, stated Obito while Naruto's eyes narrowed. If you must know, the sage of 6 paths himself gave each of the bijou names. Surely you are not calling the father of all things chakra and shinobi a fool, are you? The same man, whose very own offspring eventually helped create the Senju, Uchiha, and Uzumaki clan, countered Naruto with Obito's eyes narrowing. Sometimes fathers make mistakes, replied Obito with Naruto's lightsabers coming to life. Yes. Clearly yours did by not killing you in your sleep while you were an infant. Would have done the world a favor and simply ended your life. Probably would have if he knew just how whiny and pathetic you are. Oh no. Rin. My poor Rin. I'm lost without you. Whatever shall I do? Mocked Naruto while using the Dun Moke with Obito's rage rising from it. Shut your mouth, boy. You wouldn't be mocking me if one or all of those women you married to restore your clan were killed, countered Obito with Naruto thinking it over in his head. Possibly. But I know I wouldn't be whining about it like a 5-year-old who just had his toy taken away. You don't even see Rin as a person. You see her as an object. A trophy to be won and paraded around for all to see. Maybe that's why she rejected your affections when asked out on dates. Maybe she saw the ugliness inside of you, replied Naruto with Obito snarling in rage and began going through hand signs. We'll see who has ugliness inside of them, exclaimed Obito before shooting a fire jutsu at Naruto, but the boy deflected it with the force, remaining unmoving as he did, and seemed to wait for the Uchiha to make his own move. The jutsu was a distraction. He expects me to dodge, block, or counter before sneaking up from behind to strike with his space-time technique. A crude copy of Dad's strategy when using his Hiraishin no Jutsu, thought Naruto calmly, as he sensed Obito behind him, and ducked under the massive fan-like sword the Uchiha was wielding. Kicking upward, Naruto saw his kick go through Obito, the man phasing out his physical body from the dimension, and saw the Uchiha smirk at him. Not to be taken lightly or as a fool, Naruto focused on using the force to grab Obito from the dimension his body was hiding in, and brought him back before throwing the surprised fool into a nearby cave wall. How did you do that? Not even the Rinnegan can stop my ability to physically phase out of this dimension? Demanded Obito with Naruto smirking. The force is a cosmic power that transcends all things. Even dimensions. Besides, in order to have some form of a physical presence here, you must be partially connected to this dimension, and so long as you are even remotely connected on that level, I can pull you back with ease, explained Naruto before motioning for Obito to try again. We'll see about that, said Obito before launched a now growing, twisting tree at Naruto, who used the force to redirect it towards the statue to his left. I have already seen it. You've already lost, replied Naruto with the statue being hit and the unnatural creature seemed to moan in pain. No. Called out Obito seeing Gettoumadzu had been pierced through the heart. Your vessel for all 9 Bijou is useless now. Or rather, it will be soon after this one fire jutsu Kurama taught me on the way over here. Foxfire style, flames of Inari jutsu. Stated Naruto, as he went through hand signs, and stopped on the one for fox before he launched white flames from his mouth in the form of a white celestial fox. The fire traveled through the entire twisted tree where Naruto aimed it, which was now traveling towards the statue, and Obito watched helplessly in horror at seeing Gettoumadzu go up in white flames. The statue itself howling now in pain, as it was now consumed in the fire, and what was left of the 6-tailed Bijou leaving to one day reconstruct itself into a mighty beast of incredible power. Die, exclaimed Obito charging forward with the fan-shaped sword, his mind lost fully to the madness, as the chances of bringing back his beloved Rin were lost, the chance to remake the world, and rule it with her by his side now lost for all time. You first. Shinra Tensei. Replied Naruto, as he repelled Obito with the Rinnegan, and saw the Uchiha fly backward before quickly landing on his feet. Why? Why did you have to take my chances to be with Rin away from me? You're just like that Team Kakashi. He got everything handed to him. The fame, the glory, and Rin's affection. You're just like him, cried out Obito, as he swung his blade at Naruto, who dodged, or blocked the blade with his lightsaber while finding it was made of some kind of metal that made it resistant to lightsabers. That and it was using Obito's chakra currently coating in it too. First off, never compare me to that hypocrite Hitake Kakashi. If anything, you two are 2 peas in a pod, and more alike in your stupidity. Second, Rin was already lost, no form of genjutsu using the moon, and your eyes will change that. The Rin you would have acquired would only be what you knew from your memories and would never be able to compete against the real one. Face it Obito, your Rin would have been cheap, and pathetic copy of the original. Then again, you are an Uchiha, so only an Uchiha would be able to come up with such a pathetic plan to replace the woman he cared about, and then whine when the truth hits home, replied Naruto, as he used lightsaber form 2 to keep Obito's sword off his back, and while his own lightsabers were not designed for it like say Count Dooku's own lightsaber, the blonde Uzumaki was still very skilled with it. I don't care. It still would have been Rin, exclaimed Obito with Naruto parrying his strike and pushing the Uchiha back. A fake Rin. A Rin that would most likely act like an empty shell or doll. Besides, do you really think Rin would approve of your actions? Killing so many people, betraying your shared sensei that was my father? Trying to bring about this sick plan to rule the world with a fake copy of her by your side? She would hate you for that, countered Naruto with Obito letting out a war cry, as something in his mind seemed to finally break, and rational thought left him. It was what Naruto was waiting for and struck true with a burst of force speed already enhancing his already natural speed. Obito's Sharingan had no way of catching it no matter how advanced or powerful it was in tracking movement. Obito himself learned that the hard way when he found his hands were no longer connected to his arms, the sword still gripped tightly at the hilt by the two hands, and the Uchiha looked back at Naruto. He saw Naruto looking back, the Rinnegan eyes never leaving, but it was clear through the facial expression on the brat's face that the fight was over, and the Uzumaki had landed the killing blow. Unfortunately for Uchiha Obito, he never knew, or felt the killing blow Naruto had just delivered to him. You think the loss of my hands will stop me? I can easily use pieces of the Zetsu clones still around to regenerate them, said Obito with Naruto shaking his head. No, you won't. This is the end, stated Naruto, as he turned off his lightsaber, and saw the Uchiha's shocked face. What? What are you talking? Questioned Obito before he felt his head falling from his body with the body soon following. It is done, whispered Naruto to himself. It's strange. Father once said that all of us would be made whole again right before his death. I thought he had seen the future when we were told that, remarked Kurama while wondering if the sage had just imagined things. The future is always in motion, Kurama. Things happen depending on the actions of not only ourselves, but others around us we interact, or are connected to our actions. Can you imagine what would happen if the Emperor and Darth Vader didn't come save us from Konoha all those years ago? Thought Naruto with Kurama smirking. Yeah. You wouldn't have reached your full potential, Konoha would still be around, the Sandaime would have been alive long enough to try molding you into a tool for the village, and Orochimaru would still be around. Not to mention the Akatsuki would have been stronger than you, so the chances of them capturing you would be great and you wouldn't have so many hot wives to lay down in bed with, answered Kurama with Naruto sighing since that was indeed the truth. As I said before, Kurama, the future is always in motion, and while some events in life will happen regardless of what we do, others can be changed, thought Naruto, as he walked out the cave he was in, but stopped to look at Obito's head, and with a flick of his wrist he used the force to crush the man's skull. Naruto wasn't going to take any chances of the man somehow regenerating despite losing his head. What will you do now? Asked Kurama, knowing that the true enemy of this world was destroyed so things had a chance to settle down. I don't know. Bring this world out of the archaic age and introduce it to the Republic? Thought Naruto with Kurama thinking it over. Yes. Should be interesting. And let's not forget, the girls will want to see an opera on Coruscant, and you can get those nice luxury spots the Emperor reserved for you. It was clever to have such seats when relaxing from a mission or simply using them for covert assignments, added Kurama with Naruto smirking since that was true that he did go there to relax or pretend to relax while he planned how to handle assignments given to him. The Emperor had done it himself since before the days of being the Supreme Chancellor on many occasions, since no one would be able to hear him talk to said agents during the opera playing. Everyone was so enthralled by the play or clapping at the end to even hear what someone in the next booth was talking about, much less pay attention. You think we still have that booth? Thought Naruto with Kurama smirking. Perhaps. Perhaps not. But I'm sure you have enough pull to get enough tickets to take all your wives to at least one opera in those seats. If not, we know a former Sith Lord, turned back into a Jedi Master who does, and could help you acquire them, answered Kurama with Naruto smirking since that was true too. I'll talk to Anakin about it when he comes back. For now, let's just enjoy this time of peace we've gained before things spiral out of control again, thought Naruto, as he exited Ame, or what was left of it, with the rain stopping, and the clouds parting to reveal the sun was shining brightly. A good sign if there ever was one that balance and peace had returned to the world. Epilogue years later, so this is Coruscant. It's very alive, remarked May, as she along with Naruto, her 3 precious children, and the other members of their family plus friends coming out of the cruiser-class family yacht called the Crimson Whirlpool. Naruto had commission be made so they could all come here. Once his bank accounts were accessed with the credit stored there for his paid services to the late Sith Lord of an Emperor, it was easy to spend the large mountain of credits to make the ship, and still had more than enough to spare. Plus there was interest added to them since Anakin had made sure to tell the bank managers that Naruto was still alive and used the excuse he was on a long-term assignment of planetary security that was highly classified. The whole planet is one big city filled with billions if not trillions of people. Don't get too close to the ledge here. You'll fall for hours on end before hitting the bottom with a loud splat. That will leave a hole in the ground, replied Naruto while seeing the mothers of his children that could walk from getting too close to the ledges despite the energy barriers in place to prevent that. Children tend to climb over things without looking. And you lived here after taken out of Konoha? Asked Haku, as she walked with her 2 sons in her arms beside him, and he smiled back at her. Yep. Back then it was called the Imperial Center because of the Empire ruled, and even then this planet was and still is quite literally the center of the galaxy. It was said long ago that an empire or republic that rules here, rules the center of galaxy, and that has been proving more than once on multiple occasions, answered Naruto, as he along with his family and friends were greeted by Anakin along with several Jedi Masters. Even Anakin's old Jedi apprentice Ahsoka Tano was there, dressed in Jedi Master robes, and was standing proudly by her old master. It was clear she had felt a shift in the Force and in Anakin when he renounced the dark side to become the man she admired during the Clone Wars. Beside her was young Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, and beside him was his twin sister Jedi Knight Leia Skywalker. It's good to see you all here. I welcome all of you to Coruscant, said Anakin, as he saw Naruto and his family plus friends with him bow as he did. I thank you for your welcome, Master Skywalker. Has everything been prepared for my family and friends per my request? Said Naruto with Anakin nodding. That they have. I'm just glad the transition of your world and joining the New Republic was easier than I thought it would. Plus your chosen representative in the Senate will no doubt have a strong influence in it, answered Anakin with Naruto smirking. I should think so since she is one of my lovely wives. I take it the reason I have so many has been made public knowledge? I don't want the HoloNet press suddenly asking poor Conan-chan such privacy-invading questions so soon after being made my people's first intergalactic senator, replied Naruto, since nothing stayed hidden among the people of this planet for long. Of course. Some species don't like such customs, but that's their way of doing things, and I already explained to them the reason behind it. So long as the marriages are not for some desire to satisfy your perverse sexual needs, I'm highly confident that those species representatives in the Senate won't look down on Hinata, and treat you all with respect, answered Anakin with Naruto smirking. Good. Because if they insult Conan, Hinata, or one of my other wives, well, let's just say they will not take it very well, and nor will I for that matter, replied Naruto with Anakin nodding in understanding. Revan's Jedi holocron you provided us has been invaluable to the Jedi Order. Many old Jedi Masters, who survived the Purge, are relearning about the Force, and understanding how attachments to people can make us stronger. Even more if they are family, said Anakin with Naruto nodding before the Uzumaki glanced at Haku with the woman now blushing since she helped inspire it. Looks like it's not too late to teach an old Jedi new things about the Force. I'm glad I could help you become the Jedi you were always meant to be and reunite with your family. Has Obi-Wan Kenobi returned? Or Master Yoda? I know they were some of the few Jedi your late Sith Master was obsessed with finding before his unexpected demise, said Naruto while the group walked to the large transport speeder that could hold all of them. Obi-Wan rejoined us fully last year. Master Yoda, well, he's still in exile. Obi-Wan and Bail Organa know where he is, though I haven't asked. I don't think he approves of the new Jedi Order and what we stand for in terms of attachments, answered Anakin with a hint of sadness in his voice. It was said in the file I have on him that Master Yoda is nearly 1,000 years old. Just shy of it by a little over a century. Someone like that must have trained hundreds if not thousands of Jedi and seen each one grow up. Not to mention seeing them die from war, disease, or time itself. Part of me is not surprised he shuns attachments. Living that long and being that old must make attachments painful for him on an emotional level, offered Naruto with his opinion into Yoda's way of thinking. That, and I think he dislikes being proven wrong, added Anakin with Naruto smirking, since that was probably another reason. In any case, I can tell the Jedi Order will grow strong again. Your children, your former Jedi apprentice, plus Galen, his own future children, and the rest of the Jedi Order will be a strong pillar of light defending the Republic from future dark threats, said Naruto with Anakin nodding in appreciation. What about you? Will you and your children join the Jedi Order? Asked Anakin with Naruto smiling. Of course. I already consider myself a member. Though I do want to train my children myself in what I know before they become full-time students themselves at the temple, answered Naruto with Anakin nodding while steering the ship to the large building that was Naruto's home. Well, more like a large apartment, but the levels of it that Naruto owned were more than enough to cover their family, and any friends he wanted to stay there. I'll leave all of you to unpack and get to know what to do and what not to do while on Coruscant, replied Anakin, as he saw the group unload their stuff, and themselves from the massive transport speeder designed for the large families that some species had. I really don't want to do any heavy lifting right now, whined Anko since she had her child, plus one on the way, and wasn't in the mood to carry her luggage. And you won't have to, Anko-chan. That's what protocol droids are for, replied Naruto before he clapped his hands twice and 5 different protocol droids appeared. Greetings. We are C2R3, C6P0, C2T0, C1B2, and C0M9 protocol droids. How may we be of service to Master Naruto and his guests? Asked C2R3 with the women and their children looking on in shock at the sight of the protocol droids. These are my wives, children, and some of my friends from my home planet. You 5 are to ensure that they are treated with the utmost respect that you would treat me. Am I understood? Commanded Naruto with the protocol droids nodding at the same time. Yes, Master Uzumaki, replied all 5 protocol droids at once. Good. Now I'll show you where you can take their luggage and prepare the rooms for their stay, commanded Naruto, as he motioned for the droids to do what was asked of them, and they obeyed immediately. Have I ever told Naruto-kun just how much I love him? Asked Anko with the others nodding slowly while the children that weren't asleep in their respected mother's arms went after the droids and asked their father questions. Many times and in many different ways, replied Tsunade, as she wanted to see this planet with her godson, and knew the woman in front of her had been very determined to have a child with Naruto after Obito was killed. Of course the others were the same way, hence the large number of pregnancies, and the violent eyebrow twitching she got from seeing so many of them with bulging baby bellies soon after. She would have blamed Naruto, but he pointed out that no amount of forced suggestion on his part would have stopped them, and no amount of threats from the slug Sanin herself would have stopped the women in his life from wanting his child. And if I wasn't pregnant right now I would express my love for him, added Anko with the others sighing, though they were also happy she wasn't more explicit given all of the children around. So, who wants to go with me to the nearest red light district to see the exotic women? Asked Jiraiya to Gaara, Zabuza, and Kankuro before he was hit in the back of the head by Tsunade. So much for going to the red light district, mumbled Kankuro with Gaara glancing at him while Zabuza snorted while Tamari smacked him on the back of his head with her iron fan. Idiot, said Gaara and Zabuza at the same time. Finn, Omake Aburame Shino is a Vulcan? You are taking the large ship to Coruscant, I hear, said Shino, as he was seeing his friend off to the ship parked on one of Mist's many training grounds. Even with all the slowly progressing changes made to their society and being part of an intergalactic government, shinobi would always be needed, and Mist planned to stay in business. I am. Wanna come with us? Offered Naruto with Shino shaking his head. No. Some other time perhaps, replied Shino calmly. I must say, Shino, you have taken everything I've done with my powers, the fighting with the Akatsuki, and the fact the galaxy is so massive very well. You're not, well, freaking out, said Naruto with the Aburame looking at him impassively. Logic dictates I keep an open mind. The Aburame clan is well known for their logic, answered Shino with Naruto nodding. Still, I would think you would want to see Coruscant. You would like it, said Naruto while hoping Shino would take the offer. Thanks, but again I must decline the offer to go with you on this journey, Naruto-san. I am actually going on my own separate journey where man on this planet have yet to truly go, replied Shino while Naruto stiffened and turned around to look at the Aburame with calculating eyes. You're secretly a Vulcan? Accused Naruto while pointing a finger at him. You sound surprised, though I suppose it's only natural considering I have hid it from you and the others. After talking things over with my father, I wish to see the stars, and the planets that lay beyond here when our ancestors first arrived here ages ago during a time before the Sage of Six Paths. In fact, my ride is above the planet waiting to take me, and I must go to them now. Live long and prosperous, Naruto-san, replied Shino before giving the Vulcan sign for living long and prosperous. Damn, I got to get me one of those teleporting systems, mumbled Naruto before he went back to packing. And Omake, thanks for listening, and remember the disrespect is real. Goodbye.